Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Qudash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shaman, this week's topic is going to be titled, The Vine of the Vine of Sodom. And this is inspired by this particular video here, which I'm going to play right now, and I hope for copyright purposes. All right, nothing happens, but it's from TikTok. And I'm going to go ahead and play it right now, brothers.
Noticed a weird little pattern.
All right, that's it. As you can see, all right, all the above individuals in the video are Israelites, either Negroes, Latinos, or Native Americans, right? And you can see them going from a somewhat normal compared to this world style of appearance to far left, feminine, dress wearing, androgynous appearances, man. All right, now these guys are called celebrities, right? Going back to celestials, angels, right? They have influence. Some even call them influences over the majority of a lot of people, a lot of impressionable minds, because for the most part, the people that listen to their music are young. And if you know anything, when somebody's young, that's the best time to mold their mind, right? So you can see after they got their contract or their success, or even some of them fade into obscurity like Kid Cudi, to get some sort of attention, to get some sort of publicity, all right? They dove even deeper into the occult, into the satanic ways of this world, and that includes sodomy, man. Now this is the book of Deuteronomy 32:32, a song of Moses. It says, "For thine vine is of the vine of Sodom, and of the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter." Right, so these vines are the vine of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now the Most High referred to his people as a vine. Different vines. Right, now let me go ahead and get a precept real quick to elaborate. This is Psalms 80:8. "Thou hast brought a vine out of Egypt." The vine that the Lord brought out of Egypt is Israel, right? 70 souls went in, over a million went out. A million went out, over 666,000 or something like that. Thou hast cast out the heathen and planted it. So just like how you would actually have to cast out stones, as you read in the book of Isaiah, the first chapter, Isaiah, the 5th chapter, the casting out of stones in a vineyard to plant vines, right? The stones that were casted out were the heathens, the different Hamite nations when you look into it, and planted the Lord planted his people, okay, which are the Israelites. Jumping down to verse 14 says, "Return, we beseech thee, O power of hosts, look down from heaven and behold and visit this vine." And we want the Lord to visit this vine, the nation of Israel. But 2/3, or really a majority of Israelites, their vine, the fruits that they yield, is of that of Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah is known for practicing homosexuality. Sodomy or sodomite is the practice of anal sex, which is completely against the scriptures. And that's what you see in those men, the energy that they carry, all right? What if someone says, "Oh, we don't have any exact precise proof of them condoning in that sexual act"? Well, 1 Corinthians 6:9 says, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of heaven?" And that's what we're trying to inherit, the kingdom of heaven. Now, the Apostle Paul is going to go on and quote, or elaborate rather, on some of the things that are deemed unrighteous. It says, "Be not deceived, neither fornicators," so fornication is unrighteous. Now, fornication is the act of adultery, whether spiritual or physical. Adultery is dealing with the neighbor's wife, all right? Sleeping with another man's wife. Another woman that is single, or not having multiple single women, but dealing with another man's wife is adultery. No idolatry, which the two can go hand in hand, because idolatry now is the Most High is Israel's husband. As it is written, I've likened Zion to a comely and delicate woman. All right. Even Yahushua in the book of Romans, the 7th chapter, is called our new husband. The law being our old husband that has passed away. So a wife must be loyal to her husband. If she sees any other, then she has committed adultery. Israel has done so in the form of worshiping other gods and other deities. Again, the 2/3. Now, the elect, even though the elect are Israelites and will always, at some point or another, seek the Heavenly Father in righteousness, the Most High judge a nation as a whole. So this is why the prophets, the elect, are going through the curses, all right, by the acts of the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, because the Most High judge a nation as a whole. That right there proves that so-called good Edomites, even though there is no such thing as a good Edomite, but for lack of a better term, let's just say you know an Edomite, he never did anything wrong to you, he or she never did anything wrong to you, they were completely nice to you their entire life, they're complete Edomites, they have no spirit, they straight up nationality goes back to Esau, Edom, and they were good to you the entire way, all the way to the kingdom. It does not matter, because the nation, Most High judge a people on a whole, and you have to pay for the sins of your forefathers. Why? Because you are your forefathers reincarnated. You see? So that right there shows why, look, all Israel got judged in a horrific manner, right? But it was justified, because the Most High is just. He deals justly. We went off. We have to pay for our sins as a whole, as a nation. It says, "Fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers." Fornication, adultery is very similar and very prominent here in America. All right, they have a website called Fling, and the website, the slogan pretty much is like, you only live once, so commit adultery. You only live once, so have an affair, which is adultery. And you watch the music videos, these same influencers that I'm doing the show on, the celebrities and such, they do songs talking about stealing other men's women. Me and Mrs. Jones, and the list goes on. Mr. Take Your Girl, all this type of stuff. Here it is, these entertainers, they brag about new houses, new cars, but they don't brag about new women. They always want another man's woman. Why is that? Because it's satanic. It's the lust of this world. Why don't try to brag about the ability to get virgins, which are rare? You see? Hell, even a single woman, they don't really want to talk about. The narrative is always taking another man's woman. Either the man is overprotective in the music video, or he's just not man enough, or whatever. Okay, but it's all bullshit. It's all wickedness. Idolatry, nor adulterers, nor effeminate. Now, this is the topic at hand. Effeminate. Femina, lacking faith. Carrying yourself like a woman. And as you can see, these individuals, they put on nail polish, put in weave extensions in their hair, dye their hair, have a feminine look to them. There's no beard on their faces, even if they could grow it, all right? And if they do grow it, a guy like Kid Cudi, he'll dye it green and wear a dress, which scriptures tell you a man should not wear that which pertaineth unto a woman. So that's an effeminate behavior. And if you have these characteristics, you can't inherit the kingdom of heaven. And if you're not going to inherit the kingdom, you're going to inherit death. All right? If you're not going to inherit the kingdom, you're going to inherit death. It says, "Nor abusers of themselves with mankind." And that goes into this LGBTQ stuff, man. All right? Same-sex intercourse. All right? This is the abusing yourself with mankind. And this is things that the Most High deems worthy, punishable of death. Okay? So this is what is embraced and lifted up in America. And the things that are esteemed in the scriptures or deemed immoral in this world. Disciplining your kids, having authority over your woman, um, following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High to a T. These things are deemed immoral, you know. So you'll hear it often. That book was written thousands of years ago. But wait a minute, Malachi 3 and 6 says the Most High does not change. The thing is this: the Bible is an Eastern book with Eastern customs and traditions. We're Eastern people, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. We are living in a Western world with Western cultures and Western ideologies. All right. So when you try to intermingle the two, the way you've been brought up in Western culture, of course you're gonna bump into things that disagree with what you've been taught growing up. Okay. The way to get over that hurdle is you have to, when you approach the scriptures, throw out everything you learned in Western custom. All right. Be as a baby, and understand that when the Lord wrote this book, we're in a completely different culture. But guess what? The culture, even though it is different from what we know here in America, the West, right? It is the culture that the Most High esteems, all right? Such as following the ways of your fathers, honoring your mother and your father, all right? A man being above a woman. Um, Such roles of different gender roles, okay? Not every single sexual act is lawful. You see? These sort of things, okay? The quicker you could grasp that, or the quicker the Lord allows you to grasp that, the better off you'll be. But we understand in this world, this world is run by Satan, the adversary, so-called white man, and he's opposed to the scriptures. All right. That's how come lessons like this, if the Lord, it's all up to the Lord, but lessons like this tend to get flagged. And all we're doing is just speaking the words of the scriptures. Now, Jeremiah 2 and 21 says, "Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, holy, a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me?" Right, so the Most High planted us to be a holy right seed, gave us laws, statutes, and commandments that when the nations look at us should marvel of our great wisdom by following the law, statutes, and commandment. However, Scripture says we have turned to a degenerate plant of a strange vine. Right, so if you look at the way the majority of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans carry themselves, it's in complete contrary to the scriptures, to the law, statutes, and commandments. And they have degenerate behavior. Most of it being led by the decrees and statutes and laws, Isaiah 10 and 1, that the so-called white man has prescribed to destroy our people. All right, breaking up families, having a woman at the head of the household, turning things upside down, feminizing men. All right, and this is a slow process the so-called white man does, because it can't happen overnight. All right, you have to work slowly on a generation. You start with the youth, all right, and then you attack the next youth and attack the next youth. By 2-3 generations in, all right, you done already shaped the mind to what you want it to be. All right, and this has happened time and time again, man, in different captivities. 2/3 of the nation of Israel has always went astray. All right, it happened to the Greeks, the Romans, which are both Edomites, and in Jeremiah's time, the Babylonians. Okay, because guess what? When the Babylonians took Jerusalem, and deported them into Babylon a lot, and when it was time, when King Cyrus made the decree that we could go back to our homeland, the majority of Israelites wanted to stay in Babylon. They already established a life. You see, so that's sort of been the running narrative all throughout the scriptures. All right, the nation of Israel goes astray from the Most High, and only a remnant stays the course. Thankfully, Amos, no, Slakia, not Amos, Book of Corinthians. I got it real quick. Get this real quick. Bear with me. Spirit of the Prophets. Now, this is the book of 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, right? So, a spirit of a prophet, all right, it's always going to be under the rule of a prophet. And the Most High is going to always have prophets on the scene, some sort of men out there All right, to tell you this is the way, walk ye in it, as it says in the book of Isaiah. And I'm gonna always leave a small remnant on the right path. You see, as it is written, I will put candles in the book of Zephaniah. I will search Jerusalem with candles. All right, so the candles are the men of the Lord. All right, what did the Lord say? Um, You're the light of the world, and that word there, world, is cosmos in the Greek, which is a particular people. So we are the light unto the nation of Israel. Okay, why are we the light? Because we have the word. The word is a lamp unto my feet, as King David said. All right, so we have the light, the knowledge is some understanding. The knowledge will tell you, don't go after this, don't go after that, follow this, all according to the scriptures. The Most High is going to always have a group of men. Hell, even during the time of slavery, you had Nat Turner. So there's always going to rise up spirits. The Lord's going to always rise up men of the Lord, spirits, prophets, judges, all right, some sort of um, director or some sort of navigator back to the scriptures. You see? I'm going to prove it. This is the book of Isaiah 1 and 9. It says, except the Lord of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Nuclear hellfire. Why? For their homosexuality, bestiality, all the sick, perverse stuff that is practiced today here in America. Okay? But here it is. The Lord has left a remnant. All right? Also called a tenth. Okay? The Most High is always going to leave that remnant in there for his people. Because if he doesn't, Israel will pretty much be like Sodom and Gomorrah, destroyed, man. All right? Because the majority of Israelites follow their heart. You know? Now I'm going to close with this. This is Revelations 11 and 8. It says, and their dead bodies. Now, who's this talking about? This is talking about Israel. It says their dead bodies. How are they dead? They're dead from the neck up, man. They're dead in sins. They're dead to the knowledge of who they are. Actually, the book of Ephesians 2 and 1 says, this is Ephesians 2 and 1. It says, and you hath he quickened, right? Quickened means to make alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins. So we was once dead. The ones of us that woke up to the knowledge of who we are. How? In trespasses and sins. We were going off. All right, we were breaking laws, statutes, and commandments ignorantly. So we were dead. He that wandereth out of the way, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So he that lacketh knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is dead. Knowledge, wisdom, understanding of the Most High, that is. Okay? So we were once in that spirit, but we were awakened. The breath was given us, the word. St. John 6 and 63 says that the word quickeneth, right? So the word makes us alive, right? Like when a baby starts kicking the stomach, it says it's called quickening, right? Because that baby's alive now, right? Reading back now, Revelations 11 and 8 says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Now, why is it spiritually called Sodom? Again, America, look at the practices. You know, on June you have Gay Pride Day, and you know, it's just so many different laws and stuff to uplift this sort of act. You know, and you can't speak about it. You can't say anything about it. If not, you'll get canceled. You could lose your job, so on and so forth. You get demonized. There's so much protection around this sort of behavior. All right. And Egypt, why? Because Egypt, ancient world Egypt, was the only place where the southern kingdom and northern kingdom, all right, were under captivity together. So the same thing happened again in modern day Egypt, which is America, which is the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, or captive together. This is how come we know this is the daughter of Babylon, written about in Jeremiah 50:51. All right, because in the ancient world, both tribes were not under captivity under the Babylonians. The northern went under captivity under the Assyrians, and the southern kingdom went under the captivity of the Babylonians. Okay, so in Babylonia, because one might say, aren't the Babylonians Assyrians as well? This is true, but geographically, the land of Assyria was with the land of Assyria, all right, and the land of Babylonia, two different lands. Okay? This particular land, just like the land of Egypt, is one unified land, America, right? And there you find the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in the ghettos, the slums, struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth, working wages with holes in your bag, you know, all going back to tributary. You know, it all goes back the majority of what you make to tribute or taxes. So it says it's called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Now, Yahushua did not go on the cross in Egypt, nor did he go on the cross in America. Crucified means X'd out. So the true image of the Lord, which is the so-called black man, all right, a Negro, is X'd out. What was established? So-called white image. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. So through iconoclasm, during the Renaissance era, rebirth. What was rebirth? The so-called white man's rulership. All right. He ruled during the Roman Empire. Then Jake came over and took over, created the Holy Roman Empire. All right. But then they came back up to the 1400s and were rebirthed. And in this rebirth, they covered all the faces and images of the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who were the saints and the holy people of the Lord. In fact, if you were to move into a house, right, you move into a house that is already built, the first thing they do is you take down all the pictures. You know, you don't even have to do it, but this is what's done. All the pictures and all of the family portraits of whoever lived there is taken down. And then the new owners of the house put up their family portraits and pictures. So it's the same thing that happened during the Renaissance era, all right? They became the new owners of the house, so they put up the portraits and told the stories and put themselves in the picture, you see? Which has a huge effect on the mind of our people, all right? To where they start to hate themselves. Because if you see the angels and the Most High and his son is being Edomites, so-called white people, then you're going to look at yourself as inferior, because you're going to say, God chose to look like this and his son to look like this. Why do I then look like this? You see? So the Lord is going to destroy this place for its sodomy, okay? And make it like Gomorrah and the other 5 cities, all right? And the other 3 cities, see? So this is what's going to come to pass. This is the judgment, all right, for this wickedness, man. All right, this shall not altogether go unpunished what the so-called white man and 2/3 of the nation of Israel are doing. There is going to come a great judgment for it. That's going to be the missiles. With that, I'm going to give all praises and the other different calamities, Jacob's trouble, famine, you know. But overall, the missiles is going to be the end-all, be-all judgment upon this place, that fire. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Chakwadash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.